Hey family, it's your girl attorney Brunel Donald Che. Today I wanted to kind of do a topic that um, is just about being a human being. Um, this morning I spent a lot of my time doing a little research on DMX, which is a powerhouse rapper who passed away just yesterday from what the world knows. And I always liked his music. His music was very popular while I was in college, and who didn't love DMX, who didn't love Rough Riders, who didn't enjoy the music. I don't know anybody during that time who didn't. And, the most interesting thing, that you learn about people and their success is the child abuse that haunted him even as a man. That child in him still cried out even as a man. And a lot of times people don't realize that when you've been abused, when you have been deeply cut to the core, to your soul, by people that you grow up with or people that say they love you, and then traumas are caused, and then you still have to overcome those issues. You still have to be an adult. You still have to get up every day and manage life, and that's what DMX did. He got up and he didn't let those obstacles kind of hold him back, but they did um, have their course. They did um, take a lot of. He did deal with a lot of hurt and pain in his life, and I think that I really wanted to talk on this subject of child abuse because from the reports that I read and the things that I heard, that he really dealt with a lot of child abuse from his mother and then other adults around, that were supposed to be there protecting him, the same ones that were causing his hurt and his pain. And I remember when I had my breakthrough, my first real breakthrough, and I would say it was about maybe 2008. I had just finished a book that I wrote, and at the time it was titled Redemption Through the Fire. And when I wrote that book, I wrote it nonstop. The pages, when that book is read, people always tell me that they could feel everything that I wrote. It was like they were there. The feelings were so raw, and the little girl in me cried out in that book. The little girl in me came out in those pages. And, a lot of times we don't realize that as adults, we walking around with the child in us, that especially abused children. We don't realize that that child is still in us, crying out, still wanting attention, still wanting to be loved, still wanting to be nurtured. And it's especially difficult when you're not raised by nurturing people, when people who don't know how to love, they think love is maybe paying bills. They think love is putting clothes on you. They think love is feeding you. And the real, like, physical love, there are some people who don't know how to physically love someone. And I think that that can be kind of the worst type of I don't want to say abuse, but I want to say I don't know the right word right now, but I know it will come to me. Um, I know that for me, my father not being in my life, my father, being in and out of my life, let's say it like that, because he went to prison when I was young. And then the next time I saw him, I was about 7 years old, and he gave me $1 and I think a memory game, and I'll never forget that. And then the next, every time I saw him, he would beat up my mom. That was like what he would come to visit. I don't think he was really even coming to see me. I think he was just coming to, instill his control and his power over my mother, to remind her that she was still his, so to speak. And then when my mom was murdered when I was 10, my dad was at the funeral, but he wasn't really there for me. Again, he came into that funeral, and as he was walking out, I was so glad to see my father. That was the first glimpse of him that I had at the funeral, was when everybody was coming out to greet the family, which I was, of course, the family because my mother was dead. And I remember my father walking up with my brother Bruce, and he just walking, kept walking like I wasn't even there. And I don't even realize, like, I couldn't really digest it in that moment what my father had done, because first of all, my mother's dead, and then second of all, I didn't realize that death meant I would never see my mother again. So I'm thinking this is a temporary situation, that she's just there asleep and that she's gonna wake up. And I had no clue in that moment that my mother was really, really gone forever, until I see her again in heaven by God's grace. And then, you know, being in a foster care situation, even though I was with someone close to the family, I knew the person who was taking care of me after my mother died. But I later learned that a lot of the reasons why she was so physical, not like hugging and loving and things like that, she fed us, she clothed us, she took care of, she knew that part, very well. She had that down pat. But like hugging and physical love and nurturing, she wasn't that kind of person. And to be honest, my mother, Yvonne, was not that kind of person either, not toward me. I know she was very loving toward my sister Kiana. I know she would hold her and she would sing to her. She would do those things with her. But I really don't remember ever having that real type of tightness and closeness with my mother, or her nurturing me, holding me, loving me. I never got that from her that I can remember. People can say whatever they want, but I have a pretty vivid memory, and I don't remember any of that. And so the same thing with my foster mother. She showed her love. There are some people who don't know how to tell you they love you. They don't know how to physically love you, but they know how to do things for you to show you that they love you. And I think I needed so badly to be held and just to be told, I love you and you're special, and what has happened to you is not your fault. And I really wasn't getting any of that. And so what happens is you just become so angry. I became very angry. I became very rebellious. I became, just I just didn't like myself. I really didn't like myself. And a lot of it was because I felt unlikable. I felt unlovable. And so I think the real first closeness I really understood about love was when my foster mother introduced me to the Bible. And I began to read about the stories of Jesus Christ and his disciples. And I began to read about what love is. And I still didn't quite I couldn't like really imagine it, because I had never really felt it the way that I was reading it. Okay. And so I was still rebellious, still acting out, and ended up in a group home. And in that group home, I think love, when I experienced love, I feel the way I felt love was through my sister. My sister Kiana I loved her so much, and she loved me back so much. And she was never afraid to love me and never afraid to show herself to me. And so I would say the first person, and my cousin Quentin, those are my two. We loved each other unconditionally, no matter what. And so, but that's child love. That's child to child love. I didn't understand and really know adult to child love, real love. And so I remember being in a group home, and I remember being in there with girls that I didn't even know, and we didn't know ourselves, and we were all there for whatever reason. And I remember being in those rooms, looking at the ceiling, nobody coming to visit me, nobody coming to see about me, until my grandmother did. Maybe about a year later or something like that. My grandma came by, her and my grandpa. My grandpa drove her to see me, and then my brother Bruce came for my high school graduation with my grandfather James. May he rest in peace. And then I was out of that group home, and the next place I was in college, trying to make it through college. And you know, I met someone there and I was engaged to be married to that person. And the crazy thing is, the guy loved me from his soul, but because I didn't love myself, because I didn't know what love was, and because I didn't know how to receive the love that he was trying to give me, I ran away from that love. I ran away from that love. I was with that person from the age of 18 to the age of 25. And um, I ran. And I apologized, of course, to him many years later to let him know that, you know, it wasn't his fault. It was me. I didn't know how to be loved. And I didn't want to wreck his life trying to figure out how to be loved. Um, and so I think today this video is important for me, for some closure that I have to have for myself, some things that I have to do to take a really good look at myself. And sometimes it's so much easier to look at other people and see their faults and see their problems and see their issues, and not really see your own faults and to see your own issues. I have to stop this video right now, even though I don't want to, but I'm going to have to go to another video. So I guess it's going to be kind of like a part 2.